What do you see as the major roadblocks to actually having food sustainability in the way you talk about it become national priority?
Well, it's a very good question. That's sort of the essence of any type of movement for progress, isn't it? And I see where there's really two ways to answer that. One is that we have to increase the audience. I still think that we can create, I think there could be a large enough movement from grassroots and from sort of the bottom up with awareness than there is from the top down. And even though I feel that there will eventually have to be a dual, sort of a twofold approach from both aspects, because as we all know, we don't have enough time. We sort of have a time clock that's moving right now on this. And so I really feel, even though my intent is through awareness, to gain awareness, it is through grassroots efforts like this. If everybody can go out, it's sort of a pyramiding type of thing. Because you're right, I mean, I spoke after Michael Pollan did it at a university, and he garnered, I think, 15,000 people to hear what they wanted to hear, which is, let's just continue doing what we've been doing, but do it in a slightly different manner. Whereas, I had a great audience, but it was a few hundred. And so, but I think that, if we can take all those people and continue the movement, I think that's the best approach, although there will have to be a top-down facet at some point in time. In other words, we will have to enforce. We all know that there are going to be people who could care less in one fashion or another, sadly. They don't want to become aware. And so we'll have to have a top-down approach for them. So I think if we can approach it from both aspects, and sooner or later the resources will talk for themselves. There are many policymakers right now that have on their desk, especially in western states, where their water is going. And with 90% or more of the, like for instance, a very small example to help you see how problems can be solved, it'll start with that. With 90% of the Colorado River right now being diverted for agriculture, and 78% of that to livestock. Sooner or later, at the same time that they're imposing, regulations for water use, they're policymakers. They're going to have to address the fact that, grass-fed or not, this is where the water is going. So, I don't have any other solutions other than through what we're doing here, and I guess to specify the first part of your question is that. I think everybody in this room is to be commended for being here and for taking the steps in their own lives, regardless of where you are in the journey. That at least you're here listening to the reality of things rather than the other. I don't know what the population of your student base is, but every single one of them should be here and listen to this. So until we get to that stage, it's going to be very difficult, but there will be a tipping point. And so I hope that helps a little bit. We can answer it more.
Can I just ask one other thing?
Sure.
What do you think the issue has been with arguing for vegetarianism over these other smaller steps, like saying grass-fed or local? Or why is it that people are so attached to meat and they can't seem to let it?
Well, you had to pick. No, it's a great question, but that's the essence of various parts of my presentation. I tried to not beat it up too much, but basically, the bloodletting sort of summed up the whole thing. We're battling. Something that trumps just about every type of decision or thought process in our world, which is culture. Culture trumps religion. It trumps behaviors that are right to do, that are just to do, that are fair to do, and that make sense. Culture will trump all that. So until we, can find ways to work through that, that's been the largest hurdle. And so, we're working on it. And I'm not going to stop very, very soon. So